I thought I was doing everything right. After my heart attack at 71, I followed every instruction. I took my pills. I walked every morning. I watched my salt and sugar. I even gave up bacon, and I loved bacon. And for a while, I felt safe. Like I'd earned a second chance. But a year later, something unexpected happened. My doctor looked at my chart, paused, and said quietly, "Your heart's under pressure again." I didn't speak. Because deep down, I knew. I was still living the same life. Just with a pill in my pocket. That night, I sat by the window. Cold tea in my hand. My old dog is asleep at my feet. And my mind went to war with itself. Is this it? Is this just how it ends? Slowly, quietly, again. But something changed that night. Instead of giving in, I got curious. I started asking questions, not just what I should eat or avoid. But why was my heart still struggling? And that led me to something powerful. A massive Harvard study showed 8 simple daily habits could lower heart attack risk by up to 91%. Without extreme diets, hard workouts, or more pills. In this video, I'll walk you through all 8, one by one. Ranked by impact, backed by science, and told with honesty. Some might surprise you. One of them, the most powerful, is free, and yet almost no one is doing it. And I'll save that for last. So stay with me. Because today could be your turning point, just like it was mine. What if I told you? Does your morning routine predict your risk of a heart attack? Not your cholesterol levels. Not your blood pressure. But your habits. The small, everyday choices you make without even thinking. That's what the science now shows. After 65, your risk of heart attack and stroke doesn't just rise, it accelerates. But here's the good news. 8 simple habits, done consistently, can reduce that risk by up to 91%. No pills. No gyms. No extreme diets. Just your daily life, done slightly differently. These aren't trends. They're time-tested behaviors backed by institutions like Harvard, JAMA, and the American Heart Association. And in this video, we're not just naming them. We're ranking them. From the one with the smallest impact to the one habit that could save your life. I'll share each one, how it works, and what the science says. Plus, how I applied them, even with a bad knee and a busy doctor's schedule. Some of these will feel familiar. But one of them, the last one, shocked me. Because almost no one talks about it. Yet it's free, and powerful enough to reduce heart attack risk more than quitting smoking. If you're watching this, I want to know. Which of these habits are you already doing? Drop a comment below. I read every one. And if you've ever felt like your heart was fighting a silent battle, stay with me. Because we're about to take it back, one habit at a time. You wouldn't think that skipping breakfast could send you to the hospital. But that's what nearly happened to me. 2 years ago, I developed a habit, not intentionally, but simply out of routine. I'd wake up, drink coffee, feed the dog, check the mail. And before I knew it, it was 11 a.m. and I hadn't eaten a bite. I felt fine, until I didn't. I began getting lightheaded in the morning. My blood pressure readings were all over the place. I even blacked out once in the garage. That's when I knew something was wrong. Turns out, the problem wasn't my medication. It was breakfast, or rather, the lack of it. A massive study in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology tracked over 6,500 adults for 20 years. They found that people who regularly skipped breakfast were 87% more likely to die from heart-related conditions. That's not a small risk. That's almost double. And the reason? It comes down to something we rarely talk about, your circadian rhythm. This 24-hour clock inside you needs a morning signal, and food is one of the strongest signals. Without breakfast, cortisol, your body's stress hormone, stays elevated. And when cortisol stays high, your arteries tighten, your blood sugar rises, and your heart works harder. For seniors like us, with slower digestion and more fragile vessels, skipping breakfast throws the whole system off. But here's the fix. Eat within 1 hour of waking up. It doesn't have to be big, just something steady. Oatmeal with berries. A boiled egg with toast. Even a banana and herbal tea. And timing matters. A 2020 study in nutrition found that seniors who ate before 8:30 a.m. had better insulin sensitivity and lower inflammation markers than those who ate later. It's not just what you eat, it's when you eat. So, let me ask you, honestly. Are you a breakfast skipper? Have you noticed feeling more tired or foggy in the mornings? Drop a comment and tell me what your first meal of the day usually looks like. You might inspire someone else watching this. And stay with me, because the next habit we'll talk about is even more surprising. It's something most seniors think they're doing right. But they're not. They say sleep is the cousin of death. But for me, it was the lifeline I almost lost. After turning 70, I thought waking up 3 or 4 times a night was just normal. Bathroom breaks. A stiff hip. A strange dream or two. I never thought it was hurting me. Until I collapsed in the middle of a grocery store. No warning. No chest pain. Just a sudden blackout near the cereal aisle. The doctor's verdict? My heart never fully rested. It turns out, it wasn't just about how long I slept. But whether my sleep was deep enough for my heart to repair itself. Here's the science. A 2022 study published in Circulation found that older adults with fragmented sleep had a 52% higher risk of heart attack, even if they slept 7 hours total. Why? Because the healing only happens during deep sleep, specifically, stage 3 slow-wave sleep. That's when your blood pressure drops, your heart rate slows, and your blood vessels relax. But every time you wake up, even just to roll over, your body kicks out of this repair mode, and your cortisol levels rise. It's called blood pressure dipping failure, and it silently damages your arteries. As we age, our natural melatonin, the hormone that helps us sleep, declines sharply. That's why sleep gets harder, not because we're old, but because our chemistry is changing. So, how do we fight back? Set a consistent sleep and wake time, even on weekends. Avoid screens an hour before bed. Blue light blocks melatonin. Read. Breathe. Dim the lights. Let your body wind down naturally. Skip heavy dinners. If you're hungry, drink warm almond milk or eat half a banana. Both promote melatonin production. And if sleep still won't come, talk to your doctor about low-dose melatonin, just 0.3 to 1 milligram. More isn't better. Too much can backfire. Remember, sleep isn't lazy. It's life-saving. Your heart doesn't just beat, it heals at night. So let me ask you, how many hours of sleep did you get last night? Was it deep? Or broken? Drop a comment. Your story might help someone realize that their normal isn't healthy. And stay with me, because the next habit we'll uncover might be hiding right under your nose, or in your mouth. I used to think a clean mouth was about vanity. White teeth. Fresh breath. Maybe a polite smile at church. But I never thought it had anything to do with my heart. Until I saw blood in the sink one morning. Just a bit, after brushing. I ignored it, like most of us do. But it kept happening. And then came the fatigue. The mild fevers. The chest tightness. And the real shock. It wasn't pneumonia. It wasn't a virus. It was a gum infection that spread into my bloodstream, and attacked my arteries. Doctors call it systemic inflammation, and it starts where you'd least expect, your gums. Here's what the research says. A massive study in BMJ Open followed over 11,000 adults for 8 years. It found that seniors with gum disease had a 70% higher risk of heart attack. Why? Because bacteria from your mouth can enter tiny cuts in your gums. And once it's in your bloodstream, it goes straight to your arteries. The result? Inflamed vessels. Thickened blood. More pressure on the heart. More risk of clots. That's not hygiene, that's survival. And most seniors skip this habit, not out of laziness, but out of pain. Arthritis. Hand tremors. Weak grips. Flossing becomes a battle. Brushing the back teeth feels impossible. But here's how I fought back. I switched to a soft bristle electric toothbrush. I used a water flosser, no more struggling with a string. I scheduled dental cleanings every 6 months, no matter what. I rinsed daily with an alcohol-free antiseptic mouthwash. It wasn't about looking good. It was about keeping bacteria from marching into my arteries. So I want to ask you honestly. Do your gums bleed when you brush? Have you skipped a cleaning this year? Leave a comment, even just one word, gums. Let's make it okay to talk about this. Because it's more common than you think. And stay with me, because habit number 5 is about something we all do too much. Sit still. I used to think that if I walked in the morning, I'd earned the right to sit the rest of the day. I mean, I'm 76. I've paid my dues, right? A slow 20-minute walk at sunrise, then the recliner. Coffee. The paper. The news. The next thing I knew, it was dinner time. And I hadn't moved a muscle in 6 hours. But one day, my legs started swelling. My ankles looked like they belonged to someone else. My blood pressure was climbing despite the pills. I thought I was resting. But my heart was drowning in stillness. And then I learned this truth. Sitting too long is the new smoking. A 2020 study in JAMA Cardiology found that seniors who sit more than 10 hours a day, they had a 34% higher risk of fatal heart disease, even if they exercised in the morning. Why? Because movement isn't a single event. It's a rhythm. A heartbeat. When we sit too long, our muscles go quiet, blood flow slows, and fat begins to settle in the arteries. Within just 1 hour of sitting, the enzymes that burn fat in your blood drop by 90%. And the longer we sit, the more damage stacks up. But here's the good news. You don't need to run. You don't need a gym. You just need to stand up every hour. That's it. Stretch. Walk to the window. March in place. Do 10 slow squats while holding onto a chair. Move your arms like you're dancing badly, your heart won't judge. A 2019 study in the American Journal of Epidemiology showed that just replacing 30 minutes of sitting with light activity cuts heart disease risk by 24%. And here's my favorite tip. Link movement to something you already do. Stand up every time a commercial starts. Walk a lap around the room after every YouTube video. That's how habits stick. So let me ask you. How long have you been sitting right now? Be honest. Leave a comment below, just type the number of minutes you've been sitting before this video. Let's hold each other accountable. And don't go anywhere, because the next habit is something much deeper. It's not about movement. It's about connection. Let me tell you something I didn't expect. Loneliness can break your heart, literally. Not in the poetic way. In the real, clinical, blood pressure spiking, artery tightening way. I learned that the hard way after my wife passed. The house got quieter, but not in a peaceful way. The phone stopped ringing. I stopped calling. And slowly, I started disappearing, not to others, but to myself. What surprised me wasn't the sadness. It was the physical symptoms. Shortness of breath. Tight chest. A racing heart, while doing absolutely nothing. At first, I thought I was having another heart episode. But my doctor told me something that stuck with me. Harold, this is grief. But grief left alone turns into stress, and stress left alone becomes disease. A 2023 study in Nature Human Behavior showed that seniors experiencing social isolation have a 33% higher risk of heart disease and a 45% higher risk of dying from a heart attack. Why? Because loneliness activates the same pathways as chronic stress. Your body goes into fight or flight mode, even when there's no threat. Cortisol rises. Arteries stiffen. The heart works harder, quietly, until one day, it can't anymore. But here's the miracle of connection. Just 10 minutes of genuine conversation can lower your stress hormones. Oxytocin, the bonding chemical, rises. Inflammation drops. You don't need 100 friends. You just need someone. One voice. One check-in. So here's what I do now. I call my grandson every Wednesday. I visit the cafe down the street twice a week, not for the coffee, but for the chat. I wave to neighbors, even if they don't wave back. And if I can't see people in person, I use video calls. It still works. The brain still feels connected. So I want to ask you. When was the last time you had a real conversation, not small talk, but a real connection? Comment below, tell me who your person is. Or just type, still looking. And if that's the case, we'll be here. And don't go anywhere, because the next habit, well, it's sweet. Literally. I used to think sugar was about weight. Something kids worried about. Something for people trying to fit into old jeans. But I never thought it could be the reason my arteries were closing in. The truth hit me during a blood panel review. My doctor said, Harold, your LDL is up. Your triglycerides are creeping higher. What have you been eating? And I said proudly, I gave up donuts. No candy. No cakes. He paused, and then asked, what are you drinking? That's when I realized. The sugar wasn't in my food. It was in my cup. I had swapped dessert for sweet tea. Replaced cake with fruit juice. Added healthy granola bars and flavored waters to my routine. But each of them hid sugar under different names. Glucose, sucrose, dextrose, the osses that slowly harden your arteries. A 2021 study in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that seniors who drank just one sugar-sweetened beverage per day had a 27% higher risk of dying from heart disease. Why? Because added sugar causes chronic inflammation inside your blood vessels. It damages the inner lining, the endothelium, making arteries stiff and sticky. This invites LDL cholesterol to build up. And before long, you've got the perfect storm. High sugar, thick blood, tight arteries, tired heart. After 65, your insulin response weakens. Which means even a small amount of sugar stays longer in your bloodstream, doing more damage. But here's what helped me turn things around. I quit soda, all of it. Even diet. I replaced juice with lemon water or herbal tea. I read every label. If it had more than 5 g of added sugar per serving, I passed. For sweetness, I used stevia or monk fruit, both natural, both safe for seniors. And the difference? My LDL dropped. My energy came back. And my doctor, the one who once raised his eyebrow, smiled and said, now that's a heart moving in the right direction. So I want to ask you, what's in your cup right now? Go check the label. You might be surprised. Comment below with the word, label checked, if you just looked. And don't go far, because the next habit we'll talk about isn't about food or drink. It's about walking through the world with strength. The first time I walked a full block after my heart attack, I cried. Not from pain, but from the realization that I had taken walking for granted my whole life. I used to walk without thinking. To the store. To the park. Around the backyard. Then one day, I couldn't make it to the mailbox without gasping for air. And that was the moment I realized. Walking isn't just movement. It's medicine. A massive 2022 study in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology tracked over 20,000 adults aged 60+. It found that seniors who walked outdoors for 30 minutes a day had a 44% lower risk of heart attack. And the benefits? They go far beyond just your heart. When you walk, you increase circulation. You lower your blood pressure. You improve insulin sensitivity. You give your lungs a reason to expand, and your brain a chance to breathe. But here's the real magic. When you walk outside, something else happens. You get natural vitamin D, which boosts heart function and reduces inflammation. You also activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the one that says, relax, you're safe. That's why morning walks in nature have the highest effect. The air is cleaner. The noise is softer. And your heart? It starts the day knowing it's loved. Now I won't lie to you, at first, it was hard. My knees ached. My balance was shaky. I got winded fast. But I started with 5 minutes. Then 7. Then 10. I walked the same loop every day, at the same time, until it became a ritual. If you have joint pain, use a cane. If you need support, ask a neighbor or bring a friend. But don't wait for perfect health to start walking. Walking is what brings health back. So tell me, what's the view outside your front door today? Is there a path calling your name? Comment below and let me know where you're walking from. Your small step might inspire someone else's big comeback. And stay close. Because the final habit we're about to share might just be the most powerful one of all. Let me ask you something no doctor ever asked me. When was the last time you let your shoulders drop? Not from pain, but from peace. For years after my heart attack, I watched everything. My diet, my steps, my meds. But I ignored the one thing that was eating me alive quietly. Stress. You see, I wasn't angry. I wasn't panicked. But I was always on. Alert. Tight. Bracing for bad news that never came, but felt like it might. And here's what no one tells you. Stress doesn't need to be loud to be deadly. A 2021 study in JAMA Network Open tracked over 118,000 older adults. It found that high psychological stress increased heart attack risk by 81%. More than smoking. More than high blood pressure. More than cholesterol. Why? Because chronic stress releases cortisol and adrenaline, which keeps your heart in emergency mode. Arteries stay tight. Blood pressure stays high. Your immune system gets confused. And your heart, it wears out early. 70% of seniors in the study didn't even realize they were stressed. It had become their normal. But here's what changed everything for me. Just 10 minutes a day. Of quiet. Of breath. Of choosing not to rush. I started with the 4-4-6 breathing method. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Do it for 10 minutes. Morning or night. On harder days, I listened to calming music or guided meditation. On better days, I walked slowly in the yard with my hands behind my back, like my grandfather used to do. And the results? My blood pressure dropped. My sleep improved. My thinking became clearer. I wasn't just living longer, I was living better. So now I ask you, When was the last time you gave your heart a break? If you did the breathing with me just now, comment, I paused. You'll never know who needed that encouragement today. And as this video wraps up, remember this. Your heart isn't just a muscle. It's memory. It's love. It's legacy. And sometimes, the strongest thing you can do, it is simply to let go. So there you have it. 8 small habits. 1 stronger heart. We didn't talk about fancy supplements. We didn't push miracle diets. We just walked through simple, powerful choices, backed by science, that you can start today. Let me remind you, one last time. 1. Eat breakfast, and eat it early. 2. Get 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. 3. Brush and floss like your life depends on it, because it does. 4. Stand and move every hour. 5. Stay connected, even if it's just a phone call. 6. Cut the sugar, especially the kind hiding in drinks. 7. Walk outside every single day. 8. And finally, give your heart a break. Breathe. Slow down. Be here. Now here's the truth. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do all 8 tomorrow. But the moment you choose even 1, you're sending a signal to your heart. I still care. I still want to live fully. And that signal, it's stronger than any pill I've ever taken. If this video meant something to you, if it reminded you of someone you love, or helped you see your own body in a new light, let me know. Leave a comment. Tell me which habit hit you hardest. And if you haven't already, join us. Subscribe. We're building a community of people who want to grow old with strength, with dignity, and with each other. This isn't goodbye. This is just the beginning of a different chapter. One where your heart doesn't just beat. It belongs. Thank you for walking this road with me.